Hi guys, this is Wizard1 bringing you the full review of the Doogee Y6 Max 3D Phablet. I bought this from Everbuying for $169.99 US. However, between the time of the unboxing video and this video, it briefly dropped down to a price of $159.99, but it's back up to $169.99 now. So if you decide to buy this phone and you're not in a rush, keep your eyes out for possibly lower prices in the future. This is going to be a rather lengthy review, so please check out the video description below for a table of contents which will allow you to jump to specific aspects of the review that directly interests you. Briefly touching base on the specs of the phone, it has a 6.5-inch Full HD display which is able to make 3D without the need of wearing specialized glasses. It runs a MediaTek MTK6750 octa-core processor running at 1.5 GHz with 3 GB of RAM and 32 GB of onboard storage. It has a 5 megapixel front-facing camera and a 13 megapixel Samsung S5K3L8 rear-facing camera with a single-tone flash and a fingerprint sensor. It runs Android 6.0 Marshmallow and has a 4,300 mAh internal non-removable battery. For a detailed look at the specs, please head over to my channel and check out the unboxing video for this device. Okay, so when it comes to large phones such as the Y6 Max 3D, the biggest and most important component to look at is the battery and how it stands up to the rigors of your daily routine. I'm happy to report that one full charge on medium to moderate usage allows for about 11 hours of usage, which brought it down to 4% remaining. I typically run Waze for GPS routing on my way to and from work, while in between I browse, game, and listen to music. So lasting 11 hours is quite decent. Charging on the other hand is a tad disappointing, as fully charging the beefy 4,300 mAh battery on the Y6 Max 3D took about 3 hours to charge from 0 to 100% using a 2 amp power source. That being said, I'm sure most of us have chargers, power banks, etc. in our offices, houses, and cars, and it will be handy afterwards to use those if you manage to actually drain the 11 hours of battery life on the device. Now, speaking of the GPS, this was one of the things that gave me the greatest amount of grief. The Y6 Max 3D is quite slow at getting a GPS fix. Let me just quickly load up the app. It probably won't even get the GPS fix by the time we're ready to show the demo. So in real life, the routing situations with the GPS was all over the map, pardon the pun. One weekend ago, I had to go on an hour-and-a-half drive out of town, and I used the Y6 Max 3D and Waze to route my trip. While on the highway using cruise control, I started to experience really odd issues. It first was displaying incorrect speeds, and then it started saying I was going on the wrong direction, and then I had switched over to roads that were adjacent or near the highway. Obviously, this caused Waze to go WTF and start routing and rerouting me constantly as it was being fed erroneous GPS data. So let me just quickly go off track and mention that the Y6 Max 3D has a really cool feature called Super Screenshot Mode. This is the first time I've ever seen anything like this pre-installed on a phone, and I found it very useful. So let me just quickly show you how to enable Super Screenshot Mode. So if you drag down here, you'll see it's right here. You just toggle it and it'll let you do the screenshots. Still hasn't got the GPS fix yet. But anyways, Super Screenshot Mode doesn't only allow you to take and modify and crop your screenshots, but it also allows you to take video screen captures of your phone. So going back to the issue with the GPS, with that feature I was able to actually take and make a video showing what exactly was happening to the phone and the GPS while I was driving on the highway. Keep in mind, I was on cruise control at the time doing about 112 kilometers an hour the entire length of the video. So let me just quickly, so this still hasn't got it, so let's just come out of here. Okay, so here is the screenshot video. So you can see my speed is all over the map. I was going 110 at sometimes and suddenly jumping all the way up to 130 and then dropping back down. And now I've come off the highway, apparently. So you saw there also that I suddenly decided to go backwards on the highway, which is pretty awesome. I was going backwards on the on-ramp. Okay, so that's basically it. I'm just going to come back out of that screenshot now. So you can see that what I was talking about in terms of the GPS going haywire and causing my Waze to go haywire. So from what you can see from that video, it would not be wise to trust the Y6 Max 3D with your life when it comes to its GPS abilities. Continuing on with the mention of screenshots, I do also want to point out something else, and that is that I found it really annoying with this phone that personally I take a lot of daily screenshots with my phone, and I use it to keep notes or send things to friends using WhatsApp. So I use the volume down and power button shortcut frequently, and for some reason with this phone it has difficulties taking screenshots, and a lot of times it ends up either thinking I'm trying to lower the volume or I'm randomly taking a proper screenshot, while at other times I'm getting screenshots with the large part of the screen obscured because of the shaded volume down slider. So let me just show you quickly. So you can see here I press both and then this comes up. And it's not the case that's randomly it'll do that, but it's not the case that's preventing me to do that, because if we, let me just take off the case. Okay, so you can see even without the case, it doesn't do screenshots properly. I don't know why it does that, but there you go. Now it did it properly, but now it's doing it properly. Sometimes it doesn't. It just thinks I'm doing a volume. There's doing it again. So it might be just the buttons aren't made well. I don't know, but that's what that is. I just want to be able to take quick screenshots without needing to go through the complexity of having to play around with super screenshot mode. Next, I would like to look at the Y6 Max's 3D 6.5 inch display. Let's put this to the side here. Okay, so the screen itself offers some awesome viewing angles and really vibrant colors. The screen is fully laminated, so there is not much of a gap that you'll see between the display itself and the body. For those of you that might not have big enough hands to one-hand the phone. It is great that Doogee included a one-hand mode which virtually shrinks the screen to a manageable size. So let me just find, you can see here. So you can move it to, you can switch it to the left or the right, and basically if you don't have as big as hands, it'll let you do what you need to do if you need it to use in one hand mode. Coming out of there. Okay, now in regards to the 3D aspect of the screen, it definitely works and with absolutely no problems. It supports both left to right as well as top to bottom standards for 3D videos that can be downloaded, streamed, or ripped from 3D media. In the unboxing, we discovered that it only works with our eyes, and it doesn't really work or show up on camera. But for the sake of being thorough, I will attempt to show it again. This time, I'll be using a clip from the first Captain America movie.
Fast, you obeys orders. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, Mr. Strong.
Okay, so I've shown the 3D effects to my friends and family, and they've been really impressed that they were able to accomplish the 3D effect on the screen without the need of wearing specialized glasses or toggling device, just like you would see on like the Nintendo 3DS, where you can adjust how much 3D you want to experience. On top of that, the phone itself is actually pretty good at rendering videos that were shot in 2D and display in 3D with some success. The only thing I would say about the 3D effect is that it requires you to directly look straight at the screen. Any movement to different angles and you'll temporarily lose the 3D effect. Since we're discussing the video aspects of the phone, I might as well also address the audio and camera performance as well. So first off, with the audio, as most of us know, the Chinese phones out there typically have a dual grill feature on the bottom of their bodies of their phone to give it an illusion of dual speakers, but there is only one speaker, which is the speaker here. Overall, the speaker does a decent job and can be quite loud. The trebles are crisp and clear. However, the speaker does struggle a bit when it comes to dealing with really deep bass. So let me just come out of here quickly. Okay, let's put this down first. Okay, so it has problems dealing with the deep bass. It becomes extremely muffled and unclear, almost like you were talking to someone on the cell phone using in a really high wind environment. So let me play on my S7. Let me play Rockabye so you can hear what it should sound like first before actually playing back the Rockabye on the Y6 Max 3D, so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about in terms of the muffled sound.
For a baby, all I know, no one will come. She's got to save him. Daily struggle. She tells him, ooh, love, no one's ever gonna hurt you, love.
Okay, so you hear there, that was the bass. You can hear it really clear and really vibrantly. Now let me disable connection for that. And you can connect the Y6 to the O-key sound tank.
My life, you're gonna grow and have a good life. I'm gonna do what I got to do. So rock the vibe, save him. Daily struggle. She tells him, ooh, love, no one's ever gonna hurt you.
So it is okay. It is muffled on the O-key one, but let me disable this now and play it back to you on just the actual phone itself.
I'm gonna give you all of my love. Nobody matters like you. She knows in your life. Ain't gonna be nothing like my life. You're gonna grow and never.
Okay, so you can hear that the bass on the onboard speakers is extremely bad. So I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure it's just the speaker itself, but it could be just the sound processor that is inside the device as well that's not able to handle the deep basses. Okay, so now in terms of the onboard camera, according to devicespecifications.com, the Y6 Max 3D's back-facing camera is a Samsung ISOCELL S5K3L8 image sensor with an aperture size of f2.2 and a max resolution of 13 megapixels. It also has the ability to record full HD video at 1080p at 30 frames per second. Now, using the default camera app, you can see that it's really snappy in terms of taking pictures. There is no lag in terms of taking pictures. It's really fast. You can also see down here there are some customization options that you can choose from. And up here in the settings, you can see there's a lot more customization available. So you can see you can adjust the picture size. You can geotag it if you like, fix detection, touch shutter, and whatnot. There's a lot more down here. You can do scene modes, exposure, white balance, anti-flicker, and ISO settings. So there are quite a lot of aspects of the photos and videos that you can tweak while using this phone. However, going back and forth is going to be somewhat of a nuisance. So it might be worth the time and money to invest in a third-party dedicated camera app such as Camera FV5, which gives you a lot more control over the camera without needing to go in and out of the settings. Okay, that's okay. Anyways, we'll go back this way. So here you can basically change the exposure, the ISO, auto flash, white balance, and whatnot, all on screen without having to go back and forth in the settings. Also, just notice here now that there's actually the program FV5 is actually detecting that the aperture size is 2.4 rather than the spec 2.2. I'm not sure why it's doing that. I'm not sure which one's right, but according to the official specs from Doogee as well as from the website I just mentioned, they are showing it as 2.2. Okay, so let's look at the actual quality of the pictures that come out from the camera. Okay, so the picture quality, you can see here, this is the original picture. I took this under really bright sunlight, so there is some noise and some loss of detail in there. I did do some tweaking using the levels of the onboard camera app. So you'll see here, this is the original picture, and this is the processed picture with the contrast, sharpness, and color adjusted. Here's one more. This is the a bush with some ice on it. And then this is the modified version. So you can see here, if we just zoom in, it does capture a lot of detail in the pictures. So the Samsung camera is actually pretty good there. Next, looking at the reception of the phone, it doesn't have any problems with speeds. I was able to connect to 3G and 4G signals on FIDOS networks in the GTA. However, the phone itself sometimes has trouble switching between 3G and 4G, and it takes a little time before it's able to do so. Let's get out of here. However, if you toggle your data connection on and off, it seems to quickly reconnect and switch to 4G. So it's definitely something that is annoying, and I hope that they have it is a software issue rather than a hardware issue, and that they're able to fix it in future updates. I did try to use the MTK developer tools to set the preferred network to 4G, but it still doesn't seem to resolve the issue. In terms of 4G speeds, you will see that the Y6 Max 3D does a decent job with speeds. You can expect down speeds of between 48 to 70 megabits per second and up speeds in the range of between 25 to 40 megabits per second. So the Y6 Max 3D definitely doesn't have issues handling Canadian Rogers and Fido cellular networks. Again though, please make sure you review the link below, which will give you the cell phone tower map for Canada to ensure that cellular frequencies are supported in your geographical area, as LTE band 7 is not uniform throughout the country. As with my full reviews, the last thing we will look at is the Antutu score and the gaming performance. So when I first set up the Y6 Max 3D in the unboxing video, we ran the Antutu benchmark and we got a score of 44,159. Now let's see how it does after all my daily apps are installed on it. Okay, so you can see here that the score that came back was 44,086, which is just slightly lower than the original benchmark score of 44,159. That being said, the score of 44,000 isn't the greatest compared to its peers like the Xiaomi Mi Max, which is slightly more expensive than this phone, but it benchmarks at over 85,000, while at the same time the cheaper Blue Boom Maya Max, which benchmarks at about 40,000. Okay, so lastly, let's see how this phone performs with Asphalt 8. So we'll run the benchmarking app, which is right here. Okay, so in conclusion, the Doogee Y6 Max 3D smartphone is definitely an interesting device that offers a true glassless 3D experience. Recently priced as low as $159.99 US, it is well equipped to take on its peers in the low to mid-range smartphone segment of the market. It offers a big 6.5-inch Full HD display with a large 4,300 mAh battery, which should last you a minimum of 11 hours. And it also has an acceptable Samsung image sensor and good LTE speeds in Canada. However, it does suffer from getting stuck between 3G and LTE modes, which will require you to toggle your data connection on and off in order for it to switch over to LTE. While I think Doogee should have put a more powerful processor into this device, the included MediaTek MTK6750T is adequate enough to handle your daily apps without many problems. The phone's onboard speakers handle upper ranges really well and are really loud and clear. However, it has problems handling deeper, lower ranges, resulting in muffled and muddy sounding bass. The phone is significantly heavier than its peers, weighing in at 260 grams, which might turn off some potential buyers. The biggest flaw of this phone is the GPS chipset, which seems to not be able to really handle and report data properly, which likes to confuse GPS routing programs such as Waze and others. If you can do without the glassless 3D feature, then my suggestion is to buy the slightly more expensive Xiaomi Mi Max International Edition. It has a much more powerful Snapdragon 650 CPU, a better image sensor which is capable of capturing 4K video, and a larger 4,850 mAh battery. If you have any other questions or concerns regarding the Y6 Max 3D, please feel free to leave a comment below and I'll reply to it as quickly as I can. If you found this video helpful, please kindly give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you will receive direct notifications whenever I post new videos. This has been Wizard1 bringing you the full review of the Doogee Y6 Max 3D 6.5-inch phablet, and I hope to see you again. Thanks for watching.